What's up, Steeler fans? I'm here again to give my perspective and my review on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I haven't made a video in over a week. I was kind of angry and pissed. Even after that post-game reaction, I just really wasn't trying to get into too much things Steelers. I was ticked off about the way the season ended, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are and were. Um, but over the last 3 or 4 days, I've been, watching, YouTube and various other YouTubers and sportscasters and, uh, programs like Uncle Shay and, what they had to say about various things going on with the Steelers, some of the rumors that's been coming out, such as Mike Tomlin, teams inquiring, especially the Chicago Bears inquiring about whether or not the Steelers would be interested in having discussions about trading for Mike Tomlin, or whether or not Mike Tomlin would be interested in a change of scenery, or it's pretty much come to the light that Mike Tomlin is going to be remaining the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in his post-game press conference, he began to suggest that there's going to be some major changes. He took a lot of blame and responsibility on himself for some of the things that's transpired. And he said that there's going to be changes made. Also, a lot has come out about the relationship between Russell Wilson and George Pickens, not Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson and Arthur Smith. George Pickens and his tardiness to games, his attitudes on the sidelines, which we've all seen on full display, and his overall immaturity level. One of the things that I had done was I stopped watching Hard Knocks after the second episode. And mainly the reason why I stopped watching was because Pittsburgh started losing. So I didn't want to see that because I didn't want to hear a bunch of Mike Tomlin cliches. I've always had my mixed feelings about Mike Tomlin. I never really was on the fire Mike Tomlin bandwagon, but I was not on the he's one of the greatest coaches either. And I think he is a good coach. I think he is a good leader of men, but I question his schematics, especially that cover two defense. Like a lot of times, I can only recall two seasons where I really felt like the Steelers had been a dominant defense in the last 10 years. And that was 2020, or was it 2000? It was 2019 and 2020 when Ben got hurt and first year Ben came back. And those were the last 2 years that I felt that they were a dominant defense. Even last year, I didn't feel like they were a dominant defense because there were times during games where they just would allow teams to just come down the field and rack up points on them. Now, one of the things that I'm taking in consideration is that oftentimes during those games, the offense consistently was three and out, or giving up drives early or turnovers or something of that nature, where the defense was just on the field way too long. But a lot of times, our defense is giving up touchdown drives on the first drive, opening kickoff, drive right down the field, touchdown. Maybe sometimes two drives in a row before they even begin to get us in the game. But we have a good defense. It could be great. We can't see how great it can be if our offense is not even average. And there were 6 or 7 games this season where the offense was average. Even when Justin Fields was playing, there's a lot of people, Justin Fields is way better than Russell Wilson. He has better potential. He gives us a different avenue because of his escapability, but I still don't like his decision making. I don't like his pocket presence. I don't like his hesitancy to get rid of the ball, and I don't think that he can read defenses particularly well. Neither one of these quarterbacks seem to want to throw the ball over the middle. And we have like an all-pro caliber tight end and a huge 6'8" mammoth of a tight end that can run a 4.6, 4.7. And we're not utilizing our weapons. We have speed at the wide receiver position in Calvin Austin, and all we do is throw to him deep when he's not open, as if he can out-jump people. We don't throw George Pickens the ball enough, and his route tree is not diversified enough. I'm not saying that he's not capable. I'm saying they don't utilize him in that manner. His route tree is not diversified enough for him to give defenses different looks. And the pitch play, I don't like that. We talked about that. I also don't like the same in motion. You keep doing where they run to the middle of the line and touch the quarterback basically, and then run back to the other. Like is that some type of check defense type of mechanism or method that they use to see if somebody's going to move in the back of the defense, who's moving or what's moving or who's shifted? They're not fooling anybody. They're not fooling anybody. So back to Mike Tomlin. He's come out and stated he's not going anywhere. Art Rooney stated that he's not going anywhere. It's also come out that Tomlin, basically the defense, Terrell Austin is a de facto defensive coordinator. He runs the schemes that Mike Tomlin tells him to run. That Tampa cover 2 offense, which has literal variability in it, they don't utilize it. Only works for so long. And then once teams know where you're going to be, the better teams are going to pick you apart. And when you got players that are not capable of doing some of the things that you need them to do, which there's another thing I don't understand. I understand that on defense, Cameron Sutton knows several defensive plays. He knows that defense well. However, when you have put him in games and you've discovered that he can no longer play at the level in which he's accustomed to playing to make that defense work. And during the first half of the year, Beanie Bishop was in the game, coming up with interceptions, getting better. Why is he not in the game more? Why are you deferring to a veteran who can't get it done anymore? You are a coach that is supposed to be known for making the hard decisions. That's why you get paid the big bucks. But yet and still, you keep running out the same schemes and the same players and keep getting the same results and expect us as a fan base to be okay with this. So that's one of the things that's irritating me. And so we've got to see is, we don't like the play calling. I don't like the play calling for Arthur Smith. I think it's redundant. Run, pass, run, pass, 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 run, pass, pitch play up the middle. 3rd and 8, you got draws to Cordell Patterson when nobody respects your passing game enough for you to do that. Your run game doesn't work well enough for you to utilize the play action pass, and you don't utilize it enough anyway. Your offensive line is atrocious. Russell Wilson barely has 2 seconds to throw the ball, which then leads to the argument that Justin Fields should be in the game because he can get away. Russell Wilson can't get away. Not enough to do any damage. And he seems to run, and he's not looking upfield to throw the ball. So I'm saying the same things over and over again. Mike Tomlin has his finger on his coordinators, and it's almost as if like he's has them on strings. It's a puppet show. And if that's the case, he needs to let go some of this control, because I understand he is ultimately accountable for everything that goes on, but you're accountable for the coaching hires. Hire coordinators that you feel are capable of doing the job. Hire coordinators that are either up and coming or well known for their defensive schemes that have had success in this league in their roles. Not people that you feel that you can control and they'll run your defense and do what you asked to do because you're so intelligent. You're not diversified with the times. Your schemes are being picked apart, and it's time for some type of innovation. Some type of innovation. I was watching DK Sports and listening to a lot of the things that he was saying about the hierarchy in Pittsburgh and how they're going to do different things. And he's just convinced that things won't change. He wants Mike Tomlin gone. Jack Sperry from Sports Talk wants Mike Tomlin gone. And, I'm getting to the point where I want Mike Tomlin gone because, you stand up and you say all these clever things, and then when we come and look back at the next season, everything's still the same. You got a little more aggressive in free agency. You changed out the quarterback room, but the play calling is still boring. The defense doesn't make the adjustments that they need to make. I don't understand why it took you 7 games to figure out that maybe you should move TJ. Like, who in their right mind can beat 3 people on a play? Like, I don't understand that. It should have took you 3 minutes to say, okay, they're going to chip TJ Watt with 2 different people and block him with 1, which is 3 people on 1 play. You got, sometimes they have 2 offensive linemen double teaming him and a tight end or a running back chipping him when they go out for pass plays. So how long does it take you to figure out that you need to put up with that? Especially when there's a statistic out there that says the Steelers have not won consistently. More than 95% of their games when TJ Watt is not playing or ineffective. He's a game destroyer. You have to account for him. So I understand everybody gets off, but obviously they're not, because if TJ Watt is not causing havoc, Alex Smith still doesn't cause enough havoc. He gets taken out of Cam Hayward. He makes plays, but not enough. Like, that defense is not nowhere near as disruptive if TJ Watt is not involved in the game. And when you chip him with 3 people, he might as well not even be on the field. He might not even be on the field. And so, I mean, if Tomlin won't relinquish control and allow the coordinators to do their job, allow somebody to come in with some different ideas to better utilize those players that they have on the field. People are complaining about Minkah Fitzpatrick, but this guy's playing deep safety the whole time. So if he's all the way 30 yards away from the line of scrimmage, the quarterback's not throwing his way. They know who he is. They're not going to test him. And when they do, the guys are wide open because he's covering up a lot of other people's mistakes or deficiencies, especially when you have a slot cornerback who can't get to the spots that you want him to get to or wants to play hero ball. Another thing that I've been observing is the feelings amongst the national media, YouTubers, and the Steelers brass, those that have made their opinions known, is about how we feel about George Pickens now. Like, are we tired of George Pickens? Me personally, I'm tired of his antics. I'm not ready to trade him. I think the Steelers should, because first of all, with his antics and some of the reports that are coming out in the media about his behavior, his attitude, his tardiness, his work ethic, things of that nature, you're not going to get anything more than a 3rd or 4th round pick for him. So if that's what you're going to get for George Pickens, make him come to camp, make him play out his last season in the contract year, let him walk and see if you can get a comp pick for him. Or see what transpires in the draft and in free agency before you do that. Because unless his behavior changes, I wouldn't pay him $28 million. He hasn't done anything on the field for him to warrant making $28 million a year. With that $28 million a year, you're expected to not only produce on the field, but you're also expected to be a leader. Being a wide receiver, number 1 wide receiver, is more than catching the most balls or making the most plays or scoring the most touchdowns. It's about being a leader of that position group. George Pickens is still a child. Mentally, he's a child. I mean, this guy's literally on the field throwing temper tantrums. Like literally on the field throwing temper tantrums. Literally quit running routes. Look, like you can say what you want about Antonio Brown. You never seen him do that in the game. He walked off the field and left the game, but you'd never see him not go. Maybe if you've seen it, I don't remember. And George Pickens has been in the league only 3 years and done it multiple times. So, I'm starting to wonder if you really could blame Deontay Johnson for some of George Pickens' negative behavior, because it just sounds like two bad apples there. Because now there's no veteran wide receiver on this team to lead George Pickens. And I think that Pittsburgh, it was a big mistake for them to have this guy in this wide receiver room without somebody who's been successful enough to influence him with his work ethic and doing things the right way. And so we going into this offseason, I mean, there's some things that I'm going to close with that, are necessary. I don't think that we're going to be able to make any wholesale changes to our offensive line because we just picked 2 tackles in 2 consecutive drafts, in the first round. And so I believe that Broderick Jones should go back to the left side and Troy Fontenot should play on the right side. That's what I believe. Because even though you want your tackles to be able to play both sides, and we know Dan Moore is gone, the potential that you saw Broderick Jones at was at left tackle. Troy Fontenot has played both. So allow him to go over there and play. He's a more polished tackle anyway at this juncture. Even than Jones was when he came out. Jones was a project. So we're not going to be able to make changes there. Zach Frazier is going to get better. Isaac Seumalo, I'm a little concerned about the way he played. Maybe he was injured a lot or something of that nature. Maybe he didn't fully recover from when he returned from the injury. Mason McCormick was thrown into a whole hard spot there. And so I think if we bring Nate Herbig back, he can push Mason McCormick and we can maybe get some continuity on the offensive line. Justin Fields, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what to say. I don't want to see Russell Wilson back. He's done as far as I'm concerned. From what I've seen, I think what really deters me from Russell Wilson is I think that Justin Fields can improve on throwing his touch passes and his anticipation. But Russell was the better passer during the season in those situations. But for the future, I want to see Justin Fields. I want to see another veteran quarterback brought in to play third string quarterback. And I want to see a rookie with some type of potential or upside. And I know that we can't draft one in the first round, but somebody should be there in the third round who had some nice success in college just to see, because we don't really need a 36-year-old quarterback leading us right now that can't see over the defense, that can't throw to the middle of the field, and that can't escape the pocket consistently, because that offensive line is still got some growing to do. We need a breakaway back. I do agree with that. I like Najee Harris, but I just want to see somebody who's faster than Jaylen Warren, that runs with that type of power, who's a 215-pound back with speed. They exist. Um, and I want to see somebody that's dynamic. Even with Jaylen Warren, I just want to see somebody that's dynamic. And of course, we need another wide receiver. And I think that we need another game-breaking wide receiver that can do everything, not necessarily just a deep threat or slot receiver, but a guy that can actually just similar to George Pickens. And we found George Pickens in the second round. We also need help on that defensive line. We need a dynamic nose tackle. We need Keanu Benton to move out to the defensive line and take Larry Ogunjobi's spot. And we need to draft a nose tackle that can start right now. Personally, I think that our number one draft pick should be a defensive tackle. Even if they got to move up to 14 and 15, they need the second or third rated defensive tackle in this draft, an explosive, man-eating monster. And Keanu Benton is better suited as an end. So, as I begin to make more videos and more vlogs, I'll get into more statistics and things of that nature, more graphics to show some of our opinions. We're going to start talking about one of the things I want to start talking about in my next video is some of the best running backs in this class and who I prefer to steal as the draft. Somebody that's going to be more geared towards the zone blocking scheme that Arthur Smith employs. And that's another thing, too, that I'm a little bit concerned about. Is Pat Meyer, the offensive line coach, to really blend in with Arthur Smith's zone blocking scheme? Because I don't think that Arthur Smith is going to get the Jets job or the Bears job. Personally, I would rather see him get those jobs because I don't like Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator. I think that we need a more dynamic offensive coordinator. And his 3 yards in a cloud of bust theory is the NFL's a track meet. Yes, we need to run the ball and effectively, but we need a more dynamic route tree. We need a more dynamic offensive system, and we need to build an offense that can score points quickly, if need be, and drive down the field and win the time of possession battle. So, shout out to all the Steeler fans. I'll get with you next time. Peace out.